Hey guys, hello and welcome back to another very exciting Star Wars video. Today we're talking about heroes and villains, big connections between two of the big projects lined up for 2026. This is going to be a big one, and it continues my series on the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer from the other day, and it's been fun talking about different theories, different ideas, some of my own personal opinions, and so be sure to share yours in the comments down below. Overall though guys, wherever you are in the galaxy watching this, I hope you're having an amazing day, and if you're not, hopefully I can cheer you up, because today we have a huge update that connects the Mandalorian and Grogu to Ahsoka Season 2. I've said this to you guys before, but it seems like Ahsoka is still coming in 2026. There was a bit of worry it might have been pushed back, but Disney Plus UK and several homepages for different Disney Pluses across Europe have Ahsoka Season 2 as a 2026 release, so fingers crossed. Nonetheless, Jon Favreau has confirmed there are major connections between the movie and the upcoming second season of Dave Filoni's show. There has been a bit of back and forth, a bit of contention in the rumour mill and amongst scoopers as to whether or not the upcoming movie is truly a standalone. The rumours say it's going to be entirely independent, no major connections to Ahsoka, but Jon himself has said that's not necessarily the case, and the one character who is the connective tissue between both is Zeb Orrelios. Jon Favreau says this: Zeb allows us to tie in what's happening with Ahsoka. Now in all fairness, it's probably not going to be as huge as Ezra showing up, having that reunion away from the TV show, but it might be a mention of Hera, or maybe even Agent Kallus if he's still in service, or it could be related to Zeb's job of training new recruits. But the reason this is so important is because at Star Wars Celebration in Japan last April, we did get official confirmation that Zeb is in both Mando and Ahsoka's second and maybe final season. And today, my friends, we have a new leak, a supposed rumour from our friend Morai Messenger, who seems to be in the know about these kinds of things. They recently gave us a tidbit about the father of Mortis, and today, they've drawn a huge connection from the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer to something they've heard is going to be in the Ahsoka show. They say this: watching the recent The Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, the U-wing we see landing on a Delphi base reminded me of something I was told months ago. So here's a brief description of a scene from Ahsoka Season 2. A blue-striped U-wing carrying New Republic reinforcements makes its descent towards the surface of Dathomir. Either the pilot loses control or they're shot down, but the ship crash lands in a thicket of giant thorny vines. Some of the vines snap underneath the ship, and an engine or two break upon impact, scattering across the ground. The troops then have to move on foot, leaving them vulnerable to whatever lurks in the shadows. Not totally clear if this group of soldiers includes any of the Ghost crew, but as we've reported previously, Hera, Jason, her son, Ezra, and Chopper get separated from the group. And a lot of this is in line with some of the concept art we saw at Celebration. And then they go on to say, that being said, and this is their own speculation, they have a feeling they know whose U-wing that is. They think it's Zeb, and they think Zeb might be the one who crash lands. But I really don't think Dave is going to kill him off. He's such a lovable character, such a fan favourite, and wider audiences who haven't seen him in Rebels would have just been introduced to him for the first time in the Mando movie. So to be so visible on people's radar in May, and then to kill him off later in the year in a TV show, doesn't make any sense. But if it's true, and Dave is going to do this, he better have a very good reason. So staying on the subject of connections between Ahsoka and the Mando movie, there is one character linked to Zeb who is often considered the person with the best redemption arc in all of Star Wars, Agent Kallus. This is someone fans have wanted to see in live action for years. Could it finally happen? Probably not in the movie, but maybe in Ahsoka. If Dave knows there's a good chance this is going to be the last of the Mandoverse, I think he's going to go all out. We've spoken about this with other cameos, but this isn't just fan service, it's a logical inclusion. Kallus's redemption was so inherently tied to Zeb, and if he's set to appear in both the Mando movie and Ahsoka, you would at the very least expect a mention of Kallus. And this brings us on to what happened to him after Rebels. This information can be found in the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, which says this: after the Galactic Civil War, Zeb brought Kallus to the planet Lirasan, revealing to the former ISB agent that the Lasat species had not only survived the Empire's wrath, but were thriving. The Lasat people, having forgiven Kallus, welcomed him as one of their own. And this we see in the Rebels epilogue, and then they say, Kallus later retired to Lirasan. He would later write a memoir wherein he reflected on his role in the war, from Imperial agent to a rebel defector, titled Honor Lost on Lasan, serving the Empire, fighting for the Alliance. So we know he went into retirement, but it's not clear if this is permanent or even when he retired. Did he really just step away when the Empire fell? Is he just not going to be involved in the New Republic? Dave could change this. They often alter details from books and comics to fit the on-screen content. And did you know, my friends, his memoir later served as a textbook for the Resistance. Now, I've also seen some theories saying that Zeb's jacket in the Mando trailer might belong to Kallus. It looks very different to me, and it might be a similar situation to when people thought that Carson Taver's jacket is the same one Poe Dameron eventually wears. But in the trailer, did you catch a major Star Wars Rebels reference? It's a really fun callback, and it's when Zeb says of Grogu, "I like this kid." It reminded fans of Zeb and Ezra, although it took Zeb a long time to warm up to him, whereas it seems like he likes Grogu from the off. And I'd love to see a moment in Ahsoka Season 2, where Zeb tells Ezra about meeting a baby Yoda. Obviously, Zeb probably doesn't know the species, but Ezra has definitely met Yoda, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say if he meets Grogu himself. I wonder if Ezra is going to train Grogu at some point. That was a theory going round before Mando Season 3. If Ezra ever makes it back home, which now he has, despite Grogu rejecting Luke's training, could Ezra, a Boken Jedi, be the perfect fit to help Grogu enhance his powers? There are some parallels between the two characters, and regardless of outcome or trajectory, I hope they meet. But like I said, there's a better chance that this guy, who may or may not be of the same species as Yoda's master, is someone who's going to have quite an impact on Grogu in this film, so let's wait and see. But now, my friends, in even more connections, from heroes, we move on to villains. The most logical connection the movie can make to Ahsoka Season 2 is referencing Thrawn. Now look, I've heard it being said many times, Lars Mikkelsen was not on the Mando set, so no Thrawn in the movie, but it doesn't mean he won't be mentioned, because we know we're going to see the Shadow Council. Moff Gideon is dead. The new leader, as was teased in Mando Season 3, is Thrawn, and he's back from Peridia and is on Dathomir. It's not clear if the Shadow Council is aware of this. There seems to be a power vacuum. Now, I've seen people theorize this is the entire Shadow Council, the new Shadow Council, but I don't think it is. I think it's just one branch of it. Is it possible we see some of the other Shadow Council members try to take control, and then there's internal fighting until they find out that Thrawn, as Pelion promised, is back to bring stability and unity to the Remnant? But I don't know if this is just one faction of it on the ice planet, which might be Hoth. But what I'm trying to say is, I want to see some of those internal disputes, some of the internal politics with the bad guys. And speaking of them, we have a brand new look at a Remnant Snowtrooper. It's not necessarily a new design, as some fans have assumed. This is just a Snowtrooper without the outer covering. But exciting things to come, my friends. This is the way.